Harlii at first walked Hercules by the collar, stooping down awkwardly, but after 5 minutes or so, she calmed the dog enough to let it walk by her side without much fanfare. We emerged from the deep brush and headed towards the first house we saw. We weren't exactly sure how far off course we were because our phones were getting no bars. The house was out of the way. There was a road off in the distance that was slightly obscured by trees. It was a nice place. The seclusion put you in the mindset of an old log cabin, but the decor was patently of a modern style well within the span of the past 20 years. There was a stump with chopped logs. An axe rested in the face of the wood. We looked around a bit before we rang the doorbell, looking like Martians attempting to pick up a faint signal with our phone devices wandering in random directions. As the light waned and the sun lowered, creating that brilliant orange glow of twilight, the front door of the house opened. A man emerged in the doorway and said, "May I help you?" in a stern but unaccusing tone. I looked over first and took him in. He was nothing like what I'd expect to be living out in a place like this. He wore a casual outfit, all black, and had his hair neatly styled and cut. He was fit, but not fit in a way you'd think embodied a person that busted their ass doing hard work, but more like someone that didn't eat much and watched their weight. He was a beautiful, if not pale man. I was about to speak, but his eyes all but ignored me when he saw Harlii turn around. I let Harlii speak first because I knew he preferred it, and seeing we needed help, I didn't want to risk him not letting us use the phone. When the man's gaze fell on Harlii, Hercules growled in warning, and when he took a step forward, he barked. Harlii grabbed Hercules' collar to calm the beast. The stranger decided not to take that step forward until he was sure that that little situation was under control. "What brings you to my home?" he said to Harlii, not me. I may well had been shit on his shoe the moment he saw her.
"I was filming a documentary about the lost dogs of Zacundos. We got a little bit spun around when we chased Hercules onto your property."
"Well then, I suppose I owe that dog a boon," he said with a smile. I didn't like his Lord Byron sounding ass immediately, but I ignored my gut reaction because I ended up having to deal with assholes that stepped over me to get to Harlii all the time. It wasn't that bothered me, because who wouldn't? It was the fact he didn't even stop to read the room to know if we were together. He either assumed it or was such a douchebag he didn't care. So I stood by my gut feeling of, fuck this guy.
"The dog stopped on your property and was a little worked up about something. Maybe you've seen animals come in and out around here?"
Harlii asked. "I was curious of all the barking," he said offhandedly. "Is it just you out here? You don't seem dressed for this sort of, area?" I said, grabbing for the words. He looked at me with barely restrained annoyance, which is why I asked him to see if he would go there. I sort of wished he would, though I could see Harlii putting up that strained, grit-tooth grin as if to tell me to shut the fuck up and let her handle it. "You're right. I don't usually stay here often. I just summer here to get away. I have a few caretakers to watch over the property when I'm away," he said, using what I said to big up himself.
"Oh, really? What do you do around here for a living?" "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask your name. I apologize. I'm Harlii, and this is Zac," said
Harlii. The well-dressed dandy attempted to take a step forward, probably to kiss Harley's hand or some silly bullshit. But Hercules was having none of that. The dog barked violently, as determined as he was when he was chasing down the mosquitoes. He took a step back into the threshold of his house and said, "I am Sif Gondry."
"Oh, is that French?"
Harlii asked. "Yes, you have an ear for it, I see." He smoothly slipped into French and said a few words so eloquently, I'd have believed him if he said that was his native language. While I didn't understand half of what he said, I picked up a word or two from what I could remember from high school French. I heard beautiful or beauty. Harlii smiled. I could tell it was a true smile too, knowing her for as long as I did. I will be going out tonight. Zancudos does not add much in the way of fine dining, which I am sure you are accustomed to, or should be given your radiant beauty. But you may join me if you wish. And your friend, he said to me as an afterthought. I could see he was fishing to see if we were together now, finally, and he had no interest in seeing me.
I suppose you could do that,
said Harlii, giving him no wink and nod that would give him the hope the seduction was going anywhere. Excellent. I will get my driver to take you wherever you need to go, and when you are ready, I will send him to retrieve you.
Thank you, Seth,
said Harlii. I smiled and nodded to him. The pale man closed the door, but said in French to Harlii, until we meet again. I think. I leaned into my partner. Was that jack-off doing anything for you? I asked. She smiled and let me twist in the wind for a while. I suppose that my tone of voice was sounding more jealous boyfriend than concerned friend.
Yeah, he rocked my world. I'm ready to hop onto his magic carpet and ride off with him,
she said, holding a straight face that slowly dropped into a full-out laugh.
Absolutely not. If the dog didn't like him, there's probably something wrong with him,
said Harlii. He did have a 50 Shades of Grey vibe about him, didn't he? I said. Harlii rolled her eyes.
Don't even get me started on that shit. He might be a little bit pretentious, but at the moment he has something we need. A car. Please don't fuck this up.
Are you, gonna go on that date with him? I asked.
I may have to for the sake of politeness, but I'm not going if you're not going. He looks like a fucking date rapist,
said Harlii. A man who had none of the smooth edges of Seth walked around from out back. He was big, but in his case, it was in a way you would expect if you lived in this place, unlike Seth. He had big hands that looked calloused from a distance, so if that were true, they must have looked like leather oven mitts up close. He walked up to us tottering with an unsteady gait, like he had broken a bone in his leg at some point in his life and it didn't heal correctly. Come on, he said bluntly. For as smooth as Seth was, this man was his complete inverse. We followed the man to the back of the house. There was a black luxury SUV already running and waiting for us. Harlii and I hopped in the back seat with Hercules in tow. This guy didn't seem to even mention or care about the dog in the least. We tried a bit to drum up conversation with the driver, but he seemed a bit dull-witted. I don't know if it were by design as a tactic or genuine, but he made it a point to answer with as few words as he possibly could.